Hi everyone, this is Teresa Green with Slow Paths Wellness. Today is an extra video blog entry for Slow Paths Wellness, and I'm going to talk to you about, I guess you'd call it healthy compartmentalization, where you understand you allow your brain to understand that there are many components to life. And so when you're having a bad day, part of the mindfulness practice that we do helps you to be able to recognize that that bad day is one part of a day. So if you like one part of a day that can be very good otherwise. And what happened to me last week, I had some health problems. I found out some very bad news about some people that I knew. There were some COVID deaths, and I had another friend of mine was very sick with COVID. And so I had kind of just a real bummer of a week in a lot of ways. And in the past, that would bring me down to the point that I was almost non-functional, that many different things kind of landing on top of each other at one time. But I've been doing the mindfulness practice now for quite a while, and I was able in the midst of all that to say, okay, these things are very bad, and I have time, I make time to be sad about them, I make time to feel that empathy for the people who are suffering, for having empathy for myself, compassion for myself, for the health issues that I was facing. But I worked very hard in my outlook on life to not let that be all I saw. And so even though I had some pain, both physical and emotional, when I would go on my walks, I'd make a point of looking for those joys that I talked about in an earlier episode, of the goofy squirrels or the funny dogs, or just right now we're in the middle of the first few fall days here in Virginia, and the sky is just blue without a cloud in it, and it's just such a beautiful thing. And so I tried to really focus on those things and focus on all of the small ways that I work to enjoy life with the food I eat, and again, like I said, looking out at the outside, or if someone says something kind to me, to just really treasure that. And when I'm with the people that I love, to really just soak in like a sponge that feeling of being loved and that feeling of being grateful for something that I've had. And that's something that you can do too in your mindfulness practice and in your outlook on life. So what you can do is, when you're having something that's very hard, and I know sometimes things a lot more devastating than what I went through can happen, where it really is hard to see past the day-to-day pain. But to the extent that you can, give yourself permission to enjoy the tiny little moments of life that you can enjoy. I remember when I was a teenager, my father died suddenly, and even back then, without having training or knowledge, my brain knew that there had to be some way to just not feel bad all the time. I felt a little bit guilty at first to not feel bad all the time, because it felt like it dishonored my father's memory, or that somehow it showed I didn't love him as much as I should have, because I was a teenager. And there's a lot of people even into their adult lives that have that same kind of misunderstanding of grief and what life, how you show respect and love for someone when they're gone. But even within my believing that, there was, I guess, this little spark of life that just wasn't going to let go. And so I went, after a while of just kind of squashing any happy thoughts I had, I started thinking, no, you know what? Let me give myself permission to enjoy a nice piece of food, or to enjoy a talk with a friend, or to really notice how comfortable it is to put on a favorite shirt or a favorite sweater. And so you can do that too. If you're in the midst of a hard time, or even if you're not, you can start practicing now, so that when a hard time comes, you can use this. Just when you have something pleasant happen, and for the sake of this example, let's make it really simple. Let's make it just a really perfect food, perfect bite of cake. I don't normally go around recommending cake to people, but I think there are cake times in life. So let's say a perfect bite of cake, and you just sit with it and just really focus on the things about it that you like. Is it the flavor? Is it the texture? Is it how pretty it was before you dug into it to eat it? Is it the way that a nut crunches on your teeth? Or what is it that you really love about it? Or if you look outside, what is it about the outside that you really love? Is it the flowers, or is it a particular little bird hopping around somewhere? And just really give yourself time to slow everything down and just really enjoy those precious moments that you have. And especially if they're with other people. If you have a good friend or a spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, or child, or just a coworker, or someone that you see every day when you go to the grocery store. Whatever it is, if you have a good interaction with another person, just take away that feeling of being validated or understood or respected, or just pleasantly interacted with, where you just kind of felt like you had someone else's goodwill. And just let that feeling of goodwill, of understanding, just let it sink in. The thing is, having those feelings, especially those between other people, happen and really focusing on them, you let your brain see the rest of the world as a place where good things happen and where you can find good people to interact with. And in this day and age where there's so many things that have become us versus them, and trying to feel like you're constantly under threat and under attack and in a risk state, not only does it put you physiochemically in a very bad place as far as immune system function and digestion and sleep and all those things suffer when you constantly feel under threat, it also just makes it really hard to see other people as fellow human being on the earth instead of someone that could hurt you. So when you have those moments, those good moments, whether that's with a person or in an experience or just looking outside your window at work and seeing something beautiful, anytime you have those moments, anytime you remember to just really treasure them, just try to memorize them. Close your eyes and imagine it in your head and try to picture every little part of it, the way something felt, the way that the wind, the way that when you looked outside, the way that the wind was blowing, or when you had that bite of food, how it felt in your mouth, or the interaction with the friend, how that felt in your heart when somebody said something kind to you. And the more of those moments that you notice, and the more of those moments that you really imprint into your brain, the easier it'll be to bring those up when you have hard times. And take it from me, because I definitely experienced it last week. Being able to shift your focus from the things that are bad, at least some of the time, to the things that are going well, can really change the way you experience it, and can make you better able to help other people and better able to deal with the problem rather than getting mired down in it and kind of freezing up or just feeling very frustrated because you can't handle it. So that's the bonus video blog for today, and I hope you have a lovely week. Goodbye.